What is up, guys? Welcome to a new thing that we're doing here on the channel. Today I'm going to be going through and walking you guys through the thought process that I use when I build a team. Specifically, today we're going to be looking at a Paris Trap team. The reason why I chose to use a Paris Trap team and why I wanted to show you guys kind of team building a Paris Trap team is, on the one hand, Paris Trap is something that I'm known for using in the past. I ended up winning a regional with it last spring in Massachusetts using a team based around Mega Gengar and Gothitelle with supporting Pokemon. And it's a strategy, for those of you who don't know, that focuses on using the move Perish Song, which once it's used, gives everything on the field a 3-turn counter, unless they switch out. And if they don't switch out within that 3-turn counter, which consistently counts down, they get knocked out. So the idea is you weaken their offensive power, you slow them down, you use Perish Song, and then you just wait and you prevent them from switching using moves like Shadow Tag. Using abilities like Shadow Tag. So yeah, it's not a strategy that's seen really any use so far in the VGC16 format, mainly because with the increase in power, it's a lot harder to slow your opponent down because it's really hard to stop full power Water Spouts and full power Eruptions and Dragon Sense and stuff. So Paris Trap isn't the most viable strategy right now, but it's a strategy I'm really fond of, and it's something that I've seen some requests for on this channel. So from what I've seen from you guys, you want to see some more creative stuff, some more unorthodox stuff. So I'm totally cool with that. This is also, I want to show you guys kind of the thought process that goes through my head when I team build, at least in this specific example. So I'm really excited for that, and with all that in mind, we're going to be building the team on Showdown because Showdowns are really, really solid to build and test teams in their initial stage, and yeah, we're just going to go ahead and jump right into it. So for those of you who don't know, the main user of Paris Song, of Paris Trap, is a Pokemon called Gengar. It's really not Gengar itself, it's its Mega Evolution. So we're going to go ahead and give Gengar the Gengar right. So one of the first things to note on a Paris Trap team is that most of your Pokemon you're going to want to give Protect. And the reason for that is that Protect allows you to stall out Paris Song turns, and so it lets you keep, especially on Gengar, it lets you keep your Shadow Tag in place for longer. So Protect is going to be on there. And before we go any further, I want to talk about how I'm going to approach building this Paris Trap team because it's VGC16 where there is such a big power creep, I guess you could say, because of the use of restricted Pokemon. So obviously when I thought I'm going to try and build a Paris Trap team, like how am I going to do this? I thought about the fact that it's going to be really difficult to build a dedicated Paris Trap team and to build a team that relies solely on Paris Song to pick up wins because it's just so hard to stop the primal Pokemon. And so with that in mind, I decided I was going to build a hybrid Paris Trap team. And so sometimes especially last year on really dedicated Paris Song teams, you would see Gengar with all supporting moves. It would be like Protect, Paris Song, Disable, Substitute, Will-O-Wisp, like all supporting moves, or maybe one attacking move. But it was like really heavily based on support. But because of the way the format is what it is, the way that I'm going to approach building this is I'm going to say, okay, my goal should be like I should use Paris Song as a win condition because I'm building this team seriously. I'm actually trying to win. And so with that in mind, so we can go ahead and add Paris Song now. But yeah, with that in mind, how am I going to use Paris Song to win me the game? And so the answers I came up for that is, one, you get your opponent in a position where he doesn't have restricted Pokemon on the field or where his restricted Pokemon don't threaten you, and you can use Paris Song and wait, and like he isn't able to outdamage you enough that it's significant. Or more importantly, you end up taking 2 KOs or even 1 KO rather quickly using offensive Pokemon, and then once they've lost a Pokemon, Paris Song becomes a lot more threatening because of the fact that they can't it's harder for them to switch and it's harder for them to manage their offensive options, and also a later game Paris Song is a lot harder to prepare for. Like if you see a certain lead, you're saying, okay, this team is dedicated Paris Trap, but if you just start getting hit with offense immediately, it becomes a lot more difficult. So with that in mind, we're gonna go ahead and use Sludge Bomb on Gengar. Sludge Bomb is gonna be my choice of stab here because Xerneas is a really real threat. Sludge Bomb is a really powerful move, and I like that it gets I like that it hits Xerneas for super effective. I like that it hits Kyogre for more neutral than Shadow Ball, and I especially like that it does a fair amount to Rayquaza. It's not able to hit Groudon, which is something, but for our last move here, I've thought about it, and I want to actually use Hidden Power Water. And the reason for that is we're going to be using as our next mon Kyogre. But before we move on from that, the reason why I'm choosing Hidden Power Water here, Hidden Power Water is kind of a gimmick that Marcus and I showed on an episode of VGC with Wolfey, sorry. But I actually think it's really valuable here because of Mega Gengar's ability to trap the opponent. You can put your opponent in a situation where his Primal Groudon is unable to switch, and with that in mind, you can pick up a really quick KO. And when you're trying to get if you're trying to get KOs quickly, I think using surprise moves like Hidden Power Water is really threatening because if you look at so when I thought about Hidden Power Water and if I wanted it, I decided I was thinking about a team like Big Six, right? And Big Six, for those of you who don't know, is Salamence, Talonflame, Groudon, Xerneas, Kangaskhan, Smeargle, or some variation somewhere. And if you have Sludge Bomb and Hidden Power Water, suddenly and Paraslong, Kangaskhan, Smeargle, um, Groudon and Xerneas are all severely threatened, and most Salamence run Knave, as a nature, so their special defense is going to be even lower. So Sludge Bomb is going to do a lot of damage, and Talonflame is not known for being the bulkiest Pokemon in the world. So suddenly your Gengar can at least threaten pretty much everything on Big 6. So that's the thought process here. We're going to be Timid Nature with 0 Attack IV, but I don't want to waste your time and run Calcs now, so I'm going to go ahead and make a spread later, and yeah, do that myself. But yeah, for now, I've made the Attack IV 2, because you need that for Hidden Power Water. So moving on, Kyogre is going to be pretty simple. We're just going to use Blue Orb because we want to get that Primordial C. Drizzle is your only option for abilities, and we're going to again use Protect. And Water Spout I think is going to be pretty important here because if Kyogre can get into certain situations, it can really just threaten and do a lot of damage. Like if you're able to launch a single Water Spout versus your opponent, you're suddenly in a very, very good position. I prefer Scald over Origin Pulse personally because I don't mess around with low accuracy moves, especially because we're using this for an online team and the regionals that I've played in have all been best of 1. So assuming it's best of 1, I really don't like messing around with low accuracy. And I do like messing around with Scald Burn chances because Burn is very nice. So that's why I'm choosing Scald. Ice Beam was my last move. You could use Thunder. We can come back to this later if we decide that the team is weak to Kyogre and try and add Thunder on here, but for the moment, this is just my standard set. Yeah, so I'm okay with that. Again, we're going to make the Attack IV 0, and I'm going to come back later and decide whether or not I want Modest or Timid. It's going to depend on the rest of the team, and I should probably test a little bit, but yes, for now, I'm going to say Modest with a bit of speed. It's going to depend a lot on the rest of the team, because Timid doesn't pick up a lot of... Like with Modest, you can run a lot more bulk if you're willing to sacrifice the speed, and the Timid, like you can outspeed other primals and you can outspeed Smeargle, but other than that, you're not really getting a lot. So I would say probably Modest. Okay. So we have Gengar and we have Kyogre, and that's like a really solid start, I think. And at this point, because of the way that I team build, because of the way that I play, I'm going to be doing something kind of just like, I have these two, what do I want next? In terms of like using something that's kind of like a comfort Pokemon for me. And so in the past, on a Perish Trap team, I would use Scrafty because the ability to use Fake Out and Intimidate was really, really valuable, especially because last year Scrafty had Knockoff, which threatened Aegislash pretty significantly, and Aegislash being a ghost type Pokemon, like and able to switch out of Paraslong was like really, really important because ghost types aren't trapped by Shadow Tag. But despite that, I don't think Scrafty is the best choice this year. I love Scrafty. I will build, like at some point I will use a team on this channel that has Scrafty on it. But because I want to, I'm building this as if it were like a very serious team for a serious tournament. So with that in mind, I do really, really value Intimidate. And so I'm going to be going ahead and adding Landorus-T. Landorus-T is really a phenomenal Pokemon. I used it to win regionals a couple weeks ago, and I really like it a lot. I like that it has. I like the fact that it has Intimidate, and I like the fact that it outspeeds the primals. And at regionals, I actually use a Choice Band set, and that's actually what we're going to be going ahead and using here if I can spell. The reason why I think Choice Band is important is because you want, like I said, like as you'll notice, Gengar and Kyogre and Landorus at this point all are Pokemon. I'm leading with my heavy hitters basically. I'm saying okay, like these are the guys I need them to do damage. I need them to do enough damage so that I can get quick KOs. Because if you think about it this way, if your opponent has 2 Pokemon left and you use Perish Song, all you have to do to win is, like, assuming you can switch out, is stall for a few turns. Like, if they have 2 Pokemon left, you use Perish Song, it doesn't matter that your Shadow Tag user gets knocked out. It doesn't matter about any of that stuff. And so being able to take KOs very quickly is really, really important. And so, obviously, the first thing that I'm going to put in here is Earthquake, because that's, like, a given. And I'm going to add U-Turn as well. And the last 2 moves are kind of up to personal preference. I'm actually going to go ahead and use Explosion here because I thought about this team in advance, and I've decided I'm going to probably want an Encore user later on. And so the idea of being able to use Gengar Landorus as a lead and going turn 1 Mega Evolve, Protect Explosion, and being able to just do enormous amounts of damage, or if they protect, being able to send in an Encore user and start the lock, I think is really, really valuable. Because you can Encore plus Trap, so with Shadow Tag. So that's why I'm going to go ahead and add Explosion. And at regionals, I chose to forgo Superpower, and I added Rock Slide. And so again, this is just comfort for me. You can try Superpower. I haven't tested this team at all yet, so yes. So I don't know if Superpower is superior here, but because we have Gengar and it's Mega Gengar, and because we already have because we already have Intimidate on Landorus. I'm going to use Rock Slide. I want to be able to hit that Talonflame because basically with these three Pokemon, we have a pretty solid matchup against Big Six, and I think having a solid matchup against Big Six is like super solid. Also, I'm back in my dorm. I'm back in my dorm room. So if you've noticed the change of scenery, that's that. I just realized. Yeah. So Landorus is going to go ahead and be Jolly. We're going to want max speed to outspeed the Primals, and probably a lot in attack. Oops, 252 plus. So yeah. Probably a lot in attack, but we will come back to that later. We need max speed in order to outspeed the Primals. I've already said that. Yes. So next up, this is kind of when I was thinking about Perish Trap. I said, okay, like these are the three that I definitely want. Like those are that's my starting point. I feel like you definitely need Gengar, no question. You need Gengar if you want Perish Trap. Kyogre is really important because of the Weather War. And Landorus is nice. Its Intimidate is nice. It threatens a lot with Explosion. Being able to do a lot of damage to Primal Kyogre, which these three can't touch at all, is really nice. Weakening opposing Rayquaza is really nice. Yeah, I don't know. This is like a solid core. But where do I want to go from here? So I had a bunch of ideas. And I said, okay, let's look at the restricted Pokemon, right? Because basically your restricted Pokemon are going to be like your heavy hitters, and they're going to be really important in winning the game. So I said, okay, I've got Kyogre. So I have some options. I can do Groudon, I can do Rayquaza, I can do Xerneas, I can do Yveltal. Unless I'm forgetting any, those are the ones that I kind of thought off the top of my head. I said, okay, like I think those are really solid. Those are the ones that are often paired with Kyogre. The other Pokemon, like I don't really want Kyurem here. It doesn't make any sense. Zygarde doesn't make any sense. Reshiram, Zekrom don't make any sense. Mewtwo could be cool, but I don't have any experience with it. So I said, okay, Groudon, Rayquaza, Yveltal, Xerneas. And I thought about the fact that I want this to be part Perish Trap, and what I realized is that if I pair Kyogre with the Xerneas, especially given the fact that I have a trapping Pokemon, so like, okay, so Kyogre Xerneas is a combination that's seen some usage, but it hasn't been extremely popular because of the fact that that they both lose pretty hard to Groudon. And so because of that, and actually before we move on, let me just make sure this is recording because I just realized it might not be. Okay, it's recording. Cool. Sorry. Yes. So Xerneas and Kyogre are a combination. They have pretty good synergy, except for the fact that they both, if Groudon comes in, it just threatens them, physical Groudon specifically, so much because Kyogre relies on its range to take out Groudon, and Xerneas doesn't hit Groudon for super effective damage. And so because of that, it's not extremely popular. But if you look at our other Pokemon, we've got Gengar with Hidden Power Water. We've got Gengar with Shadow Tag. We have Kyogre, so like Gengar can threaten. Having a Shadow Tag Gengar on the team threatens Groudon a lot because not only can it OHKO with Hidden Power Water and Rain, it also like allows Kyogre to keep the weather on the field. And I was like, okay, like Xerneas is looking pretty good on that aspect, but what about like the rest of the team that I haven't built yet, right? And what I realized is that if this is like part Perish Trap, we're gonna need a little bit more support. Right? We don't have any support. We don't have any Fake Out. We don't have any Follow Me. We don't have any Encore. We don't have anything to help set up the Parasong late game. And I said, like Xerneas also really benefits from that kind of support. So I thought Xerneas would be a really good choice here. Obviously, we're going to be giving it the Power Herb, and GMNC is a really strong combination. That's not really what I wanted. We're going to go ahead and use Protect as usual. Protect GMNC. And you can mess around with the moves. Xerneas gets Heal Pulse, so that's a really cool option. But I think in this situation, you're going to be trying to like. The Xerneas is a Pokemon that can really easily take KOs and can really easily just set up and sweep, so that's like a really cool option to have. And so I think we're going to be playing the Xerneas like a sweeper. And I haven't decided on nature yet. I feel like Timid is probably a good choice because we're kind of weak to opposing Kyogre at the moment, but I will come back to that later, leaning Timid at the moment. And so in the last two slots, I said, okay, I want something that helps Xerneas. I want something that helps Gengar, right? I need some kind of Fake Out Pokemon. And I also noticed really importantly that we're very weak to opposing Kyogre at the moment. We're also really weak to Crobat. Like we have Landorus, but I don't like Landorus. Like Crobat is never used on its own. It's used with a partner, like as in all double battles. So you need something that can hit Crobat well. So with that in mind, I said, is there a support Pokemon that can hit Crobat? And I came upon my good friend Raichu. You could also use Pikachu, but I prefer Raichu personally. Lightning Rod is good because it's just good to redirect from Kyogre and Xerneas. I'm not actually sure on an item here because basically, like, Raichu should be getting Fake Out. He should be getting Encore. That's the Encore I mentioned earlier. He should be getting Volt Tackle, I think, because of the fact that you want to hit Kyogre really hard. Volt Tackle is really nice. And in this last move slot, I haven't actually figured out what it should be. So it could be Feint. Could be another Hidden Power. Probably not a Hidden Power. I don't think Hidden Power Ice does anything. It could be Protect. I think Protect would actually be really useful here, or it could be Volt Switch. And as for the item, normally in a Pokemon like Raichu, I would want Focus Sash, but the problem is that your recoil damage, like it's just like you take a lot of damage from recoil. And I know Mark has actually used an Assault Vest Raichu on his channel, but the thing is, I really want Encore on my Raichu, and so I can't actually use Assault Vest. I could use Lumberry. I think that's an option. Lumberry, Focus Sash. gosh, it's just really difficult. Like maybe a type up item. I need to run calcs, but we're gonna come back to this later. Because I'm not really sure and I don't want to waste your time like running calcs. For now, I'm actually gonna run protect because I think protect is really solid on Perish Trap. This is just gonna be probably a simple spread. I can actually just fill this in now. Probably just something like Jolly. Max speed, max attack. I'll run calcs because the attack isn't super important. Like you're trying to chunk Kyogre, but like your main thing is like if you can survive like some calcs, some attacks, like maybe make Hyper Voice a 3-hit KO or something, that'd be really cool. So I'm gonna go ahead and use Raichu. Yeah, I will come back to. I'm gonna leave this blank. You guys know that I'm probably gonna use protect. I want to build this so that you guys can kind of like look at these blank spots that I have and be like, okay, Wolf, like this is what Wolf would use, but like I'm my own person, you know, I can do my own stuff. So I'm like filling it in. I would use protect and focus sash here. I think those are really solid options, despite the fact that you have volt tackle, because most of the time you're probably not going to be volt tackling stuff. So yeah. With that in mind, these are your slots. Feel free to mess around with them. I would recommend Air Balloon, Lumberry, Focus Sash. If you want items, I'd recommend Protect, Faint, Nuzzle. I need to look at the move pool. Those are the ones that come to mind off the top of my head that I think would be most useful. You could also use like Hidden Power Water or Hidden Power Ice. I think those are also really solid options. But yeah, off the top of my head, that's what I'm doing there. And in this last slot, I said, okay, I've got Raichu, I've got Xerneas, I've got Gengar. Is there anything else that I can use to kind of help set up my Pokemon? And so obviously I thought of one of the greatest supports to Xerneas that exists, which is Smeargle. But when I was thinking about Smeargle, oh shoot, okay, I guess Smeargle has to have the Focus Sash, so Raichu can't have the Focus Sash, so scrap that, no Focus Sash on Raichu. I didn't think that through correctly. Smeargle, I think Smeargle is an interesting Pokemon. It's definitely seen a lot of usage, it's definitely gotten a lot of hate. But yeah, so I want Focus Sash on my Smeargle. I think that's more consistent. And I was thinking about like taking advantage of the fact that Battle Spot is best of 1 and the tournaments that I'd be playing in are best of 1, and I said, okay, like Smeargle is a Pokemon that learns every single move in the game, so how can I take advantage of that? And so what I realized is that I'm actually going to go ahead and put Tailwind on here, because this is just like for testing. I have a feeling it's not going to be very good in practice, but I like the idea of being able to use like Raichu Smeargle using Fake Out Dark Void and then switching in. Then now that I think about it, let's think. Okay, I'm actually positive that's correct, because I wouldn't want to really Raichu Smeargle ever. So Spiky Shield, Dark Void are definitely given, because Smeargle's holding the Focus Sash. I don't like to mess around with Choice Scarf, Dark Void. I don't like it at all. I think Follow Me should be coming here for sure. Follow Me is like definitely the third move, and so the fourth move I was going to put Tailwind, but now that I think about it a little more, I'm more tempted to use something like Transform, to be honest, or Wide Guard. Those are the moves that I feel really are solid choices here. Yes, because if I'm leading Smeargle, I'm probably going to be using it with Xerneas or Gengar. I think Wide Guard is more consistent, to be honest. I could also use Fake Out, so I could lead it more easily with Xerneas or Gengar. So I'm going to leave this one blank for now as well. That's another slot you guys like have total. I'd recommend the first 3 in the item and the ability pretty strongly, but if you want to use this team yourselves, I would not necessarily recommend. Like, I would recommend messing around with that last move. Maybe not Tailwind after thinking about it more, because it doesn't make any sense. But Transform, Wide Guard are really tempting. Fake Out is also another option, because you basically, like, you want to be able to lead... Like, it's good to lead Smeargle against teams that don't have Fake Out. Yes. So with that in mind, for now, I would say, if it were me, it is me. I'm going to go ahead and use Wide Guard, like I said. Maybe Fake Out. Sure, sorry, guys, this is tough. I'm going to use Wide Guard. I like that it... slows down opponents, and this is probably just going to be a simple spread like max speed, max HP, or something silly with a timid nature, because we don't need any attack, and that also weakens opposing foul play. So there you go. If you guys liked what you what you saw, I'm really happy, because I don't know, it's been a while since I've used this kind of team. I'm looking forward to using this. I will be using this in the next few episodes of my channel. I just need to get it in game, which will take a while, but I can figure that out. I'm recording this in advance of when I'm putting it up, so I should have some time to get the team. Yes, if you're interested in seeing other archetypes built, if you have like a Pokemon you'd love to see built around, post it in the comments. I'm open to suggestions, no guarantees, of course, but yeah, if you have any questions about the team or about my thought process, go ahead and leave them in the comments. I'm happy to clear up anything that I can, and yeah, I'm looking forward to using this team, and I hope we can get some wins. So until next time, guys, thanks for watching.